Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition class archetype breakdown. And this particular breakdown, we're going to be taking a look at one of the new archetypes that's in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. And this particular archetype we're going to be looking at today is one of the Warlock otherworldly patrons called the Undying. So when you create a character in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you are going to choose from one of the 12 core classes, meaning you can choose a cleric, a druid, a fighter, a wizard, a rogue, or in this case, you choose the warlock. Now, in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, there are 20 levels to its maximum level, and you can see that the warlock, they get quite an array of things that they can do. Everything from their base proficiency bonus, which every class gets in 5e. You'll get to choose bonuses from your otherworldly patron, meaning the deity that you worship as a warlock. You'll get your eldritch invocations, which is sort of like it's almost the bread and butter of the warlock, where you can take passive skills that add on top of everything else. And there's quite a list. There's probably 20 to 30 different eldritch invocations that you can take, and as you get higher level, you'll get more and more of these. Now, as for casting, the warlocks also cast spells, and they have a very unique casting mechanic to them. Now, you'll get cantrips like the other core classes, like the core casting classes like the druid. You'll also get them like the cleric, the sorcerer, and the wizard. But the warlock casts spells differently, meaning you'll get a certain amount of spells known, and then depending on what otherworldly patron that you choose, you will get an expanded spell list. And that expanded spell list depends on what type of flavor that you want for your warlock. And then for your spells, you'll only get to cast a very limited amount of magic, but with your invocations, there's a lot of things that you can do that won't cost your spell slots. And as you get higher level, you'll see that you'll get your Mystic Arcanums, which give you a free cast of a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You'll get your ability score improvements that are going to allow you to raise your ability scores, and also take a feat if your DM allows you to do that. But the warlock is definitely a more advanced type of class to play. So maybe if this is your first go around at a caster type of class in D&D, maybe you might want to try like a cleric or maybe a wizard. But the warlock is definitely a unique class. So in D&D 5th edition, after you've chosen your core class or your base class, then you're going to get to choose a little bit of extra flavor on what type of, for this instance, what type of warlock would you want to be? Would you want to be a warlock that deals with the archfey, or all the creatures of the fey or the forest? Would you want to be a warlock of the fiend, meaning that you're associated with all the demons and devils of the elemental planes down below in the elemental chaos? Would you want to be associated with the Great Old One? Or, in this case, would you want to be associated with the patrons of the Undying? And if you do, this is where death holds no sway over your patron, who has unlocked the secrets of everlasting life, although such a prize, like all power, will come at a price. And this is where you can manipulate the undead. Now, when you choose this archetype, or otherworldly patron, as the warlocks call them, you'll get more flavors, you can see, on top of everything else that you're going to get with your warlock class. And it's really nice. It kind of lets you kind of tinker with the warlock class and what you'd like to do. So I remember about a minute or so ago, I mentioned an expanded spell list. So seeing that the warlock has a very limited amount of spells that they can cast, there are lists of warlock spells for every spell level, from cantrips to level, until level 5, their maximum spell that they can cast. Now, you're going to get this expanded spell list to add on top of that limited amount of spells. And these can be taken, these won't be free like the Paladin or the Cleric for their domain spells. The expanded spell list for the Warlock works totally different. These are just extra spells that you can choose. If you choose them, you get to use them. If you don't choose them, then you don't get to use them. So for first level, you'll expand the first level Warlock list with False Life and Ray of Sickness. Level 2, you'll expand the current Warlock list with Blindness, Deafness, and Silence. At level 3, you'll expand that spell list with Feign Death and Speak with Dead. At 4th level, you'll expand that list with Aura of Life and Death Ward. And finally, your max level that you can cast for spells, level 5, spells, Contagion, or Legend Lore. So that's a pretty good amount of spells that actually expand on what the Warlock can already get. And like I said, each one of these expanded spell lists are different depending on what otherworldly patron you want your Warlock to be. So also, when you choose the Warlock at level 1, you're going to get your otherworldly patron, which is really nice. A lot of the other classes in D&D 5e have to wait till level 3 or level 2 before they get their archetype, but the Warlock, they get theirs at level 1, which is really nice. So you're going to get Among the Dead. And like I said, these features, whenever you choose this otherworldly patron called the Undying, all of these features will be added on top of everything else that you already get for the Warlock, which is really nice. So Among the Dead is where you learn to Spare the Dying cantrip. This is where you're going to learn Spare the Dying. And this will count as a Warlock cantrip for you. And you will also have advantage on saving throws against any disease. So right off the bat, Among the Dead is nice. First off, Spare the Dying is usually a cleric cantrip, and this is where when someone is basically unconscious, you use this cantrip and they are basically, you spared them. They're not going to die. They're stable, but they're still unconscious, but you spared them. They don't have to make any more successful or take the chance of having unsuccessful death saving throws. So Spare the Dying cantrip, really nice, especially for a Warlock. And another great thing is you're going to get advantage on saving throws against any kind of disease thrown at you. So also with Among the Dead, any undead are going to have a very difficult time harming you. So if an undead targets you directly with an attack or a harmful spell, that creature must make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. And an undead need not make the save when it includes you in an area of effect, such as an explosion of fireball or something. So as long as it is a single target direct attack on you, that creature will need to make that Wisdom saving throw. But like it said, if it's an area of effect, it doesn't count. So if that undead creature fails its Wisdom saving throw, the creature must choose a new target or forfeit targeting someone instead of you, potentially wasting that attack or spell. On a successful save, the creature is immune to Among the Dead for 24 hours. And an undead is also immune to this effect for 24 hours if you target it with an attack or a harmful spell. So there's one thing that you really need to take consideration, especially if it's like a very high level undead, like maybe a Mummy Lord or a Lich. Very nice. Right off the bat, right out of the gate, Among the Dead is super strong. Now, also at 6th level, you're going to get Defyed Death, and this is where you can give yourself vitality when you cheat death or when you help someone else cheat death. You can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Constitution modifier when you succeed on a death saving throw or when you stabilize a creature with Spare the Dying. Very nice. So if you use your new Warlock cantrip that you got at level 1, Spare the Dying, then, you know, when you stabilize a person, 1d8 plus con. If, you know, basically if you are rolling on your death saving throws when you go unconscious and you succeed, then you take 1d8 plus con. So you don't have to get 3 successful rolls. It's just going to basically take you right back up as soon as you go down. And as soon as it's, well, it has to be a successful roll first. So that's pretty nice. Once you use Defyed Death, you can only use this feature once, and you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So Spare the Dying, 1d8 plus con on that target, or if you go down unconscious, you use Defyed Death. If you're successful on your saving throw roll, then you go ahead and heal yourself for 1d8 plus con modifier. Pretty straightforward. Now, also we're going to take a look at Undying Nature, which is at level 10. And this is where you can hold your breath indefinitely, and you do not require any more food, water, or sleep. Although you still require rest to reduce exhaustion so you don't get the exhaustion conditions or levels, and still benefit from, you know, your short and long rest. And in addition, you age at a slower rate. For every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year, and you are immune to being magically aged. Very nice, Undying Nature. Sort of like what the monk gets. So when you get 10th level, you can hold your breath indefinitely, and you no longer require food, water, or sleep. Although you still have to get the rest whenever you want to get your class features and your spell slots back. And then in addition, you're going to age slower. Pretty nice. Last but not least, you're going to get Indestructible Life, and this is at level 14, which honestly is really early considering a lot of the other class archetypes have to wait till level 17, 18, or even 20 before they get their last special feature. But you're going to get yours at 14. So when you get Indestructible Life, this is where you partake of some of the true secrets of the Undying. So on your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Warlock level. Additionally, if you put a severed body part of yours back in place when you use this feature, the part reattaches. It's actually a pretty nice, and I like it. It's explained perfectly. You know, you basically can heal yourself. And once you use Indestructible Life, you can, you know, use it once, and then you have to wait until you get that short or long rest. But the great thing about it is you can reattach a severed body part just with using Indestructible Life. I mean, how cool is that? Sort of like and it doesn't require any kind of monetary components like the other cleric spells would. The very expensive cleric spells. Holy cow. So, what do you guys think about the new Undying Otherworldly Warlock? I like it. I think it brings an interesting twist to the Warlock. I mean, the Warlock is already interesting as it is with its invocations and, you know, with its limited amount of spells and how your spells automatically upgrade. You know, you know your spells automatically upgrade as you cast. So if you cast a spell at level 15, that spell's automatically at 5th level power, and you can only do 3 a day. So, but you know, 13 spells and with no 4 cantrips. So, but the thing is here, you would know invocations at 7, and you would, you know, you'd really beef up your cantrips, which is sort of like your bread and butter, because you'll be able to shoot multiple bolts around, which is really nice. So, in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this new Warlock? I like it. I'd like to hear your opinions as well. So if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also share and like the video. And until next time, happy gaming.